like Malcolm said, we fighting for land. Freedom and independence is based on land. You know what I'm saying? And so we started to become way more mature in regards to our fight, not just fighting to eat and take a dump next to some white guy. Why can't we have our own territory, our own laws, our own institutions that can send us to destiny that is better than just being equal with some racists?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we can go to the next slide. The situation is that where we are today, because we did fight for some things, we had large portions of our community that was right alongside, lockstep with us, fighting for the gains that we experience today. But our enemy don't sleep. They don't sleep. So there are many gains that we have actually got that have somewhat been loosened and lost within the several, maybe 5 generations, 6, 7 generations that came since then. And so when you talk about whether Father Kwame mentioned Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller Jr. talks about the 7 areas of people's activity, whether it be labor, law, sex, politics, entertainment, war. And so, and I like to say, or war, because all of these is warfare that is being waged on us, whether you're talking about it in the health profession, we talking about the education, whether you're talking about it with what we see on TV, they got us painting our chains, you know what I'm saying? Well, whatever it may be, the incarceration of our brothers, wholesale incarceration of our brothers and sisters and babies. You know what I'm saying? So we are still in, if not worse, condition that caused the youth, the adults, and the babies to get up in an uproar and cause action to happen to make the changes and to actually create a situation where we don't have to be where we're at right now, where we're in resurgence to what we had. If we can get our own territory and our own land and create and do for ourselves, then, like on the African continent where they got their independence, they got their own countries. At least they still got the land. So right now, we don't even, big heights or what? You know what I'm saying? We don't even see ourselves as even a nation, much less as a people. You know, one people. I mean, hey, I'm gonna be real. It's hard for maybe some people in the room to say that they African. Nah, brother, we the Asiatics. You know what I'm saying? We might get lost in regards to ideology. Nah, brother, it ain't about all that pop gun rhetoric or whatever. All you got is a 38. They got such and such. Nah, brother. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm said all that brother needed was a blade. You know what I'm saying? With that guerrilla warfare, and that they couldn't even win on the ground no more. And we'll go back and forth about ideology. Some people say that all we need is to wear a dashiki, and we can go into Procter & Gamble, and we can have, I'm saying there's many different things in regards to that separate us. But there are food, clothing, and shelter. Those are many things that we all need, and we all have a close connection to in regards to, look, at the end of the day, if Walmart and all these other things cut off access to toilet paper to everybody here, we got a problem, right? We might even have a problem. So the situation is that we don't really control our destiny because of the disunity that we have with each other. And what actually happens is we become so dependent on the outsiding services, whether it be jobs and family services, whether it be these department stores, like I said, like Walmart, these different things, these racist police departments or whatever, and the many different things that they do to us on a daily basis, that at the end of the day, because they are legal or licensed people that can commit crimes, but because they have that badge, at the end of the day, if you try to take them to some authority, the authority backs them before you. So the reality is that because we're disunified, we have been taken away from what our people have actually fought to gain in regards to creating institutions for ourselves. So I want to end my piece with with this proverb right here, and then write the passage in regards to Act, we like to use African proverbs so that we can, because it's easy to say that you African. It's another thing to say that bit of wisdom that your mama or your grandmama gave you, said a hard head makes a what? A soft what? You know what I'm saying? That type of wisdom that they put on us, we might not get it till later on. So we like to sow them seeds in the rites of passage sessions so that they can look upon that, you know what I'm saying, later on. If not currently, if in this situation. But it says, if y'all can read with me, when brothers fight to death, a stranger inherits their father's estate. And the reality is that even within integration, and us even having some levels of governance, like, well, we got black mayor, no more. Well, we had a black police chief, that's it, whatever. But I'm saying, like, the reality is that because we can't be serious with each other and seriously unify, other people can come in and manipulate all those different things the same way that they did on the continent. The same thing that they're doing today on the continent. The same thing that they're doing today right here in Cincinnati. Where they'll pin different organizations against each other, like, I'll be nice. But you got these benevolent white guys that will show up and give money to different parties or whatever to keep people disunified. I done seen it. I know many of y'all in here done seen it. We got to be way more sophisticated and wise. And I ain't telling you not to take the money, but I'm telling you to tell him to do what he's going to say he's going to do, and then we get our stuff right with that money.
All right. I always hear this. This is the main thing that I hear African people say everywhere we go. I don't care where we are. They say, well, what are we going to do? Right? Most people say it, but they don't want to hear it. They don't really want to know exactly what it is that you have to do to solve all of our problems. But I have some solutions. So, listen up. What we must do, obviously, this situation we're in, our situation, must be dealt with. And our enemies are not going to come to the rescue to help us. And if they do, you better be very suspicious of that. Instead, we need to solve all of our problems ourselves. It's our responsibility. I'm not talking about when you get nation building age, it's just your responsibility. I'm talking about until you leave this earth. No, forget that. Because every time I get down on my knees and pray to my Creator, and I appreciate my ancestors, I look at them to help us to get through these conditions too. So regardless, when you're brought into this world from the spiritual and you're in the physical, it's all of our problems. We all have to solve it. And we look upon our ancestors to solve those problems as well. So that's the only way that we're going to get anything done, is if we solve our own problems, not to look and rely on our enemies. The negative issues confronting us is a result of them.
That's right.
It didn't just happen by chance. We're not a broken people that were just brought to the earth by the Creator that way. We're not brought here broken. Right. We got broke.
That's right.
All right? And that's on so many levels, economically, physically, emotionally, all of that. We got broke. Right. The first thing that we must do is look at the lessons from history. There are so many lessons of history. We can go back to our period on the continent when we were colonized, when our land was raped and continued to be raped, when our people were raped and continued to be raped, when our people were stolen and brought here. We can look at the history of our people who were enslaved here, who toiled this land. And if anybody has any doubt about the work that we put into the land being the way it is, I just want you to open up your books. I want you to go back in history and remember who were the ones who toiled the land here. Who were the ones bringing food to the table? Who were the ones bringing clothes to everybody else's backs? Our people did that.
That's right.
Our people built this country. There are three different things that we have to look at in our history. Where we come from? Anybody got the answer to that? Where did we come from? You can say it loud and proud, y'all. Where did we come from?
Africa.
Mama Africa. What are we connected to? And what were our many accomplishments? You came from Africa, like you said. We are connected to the nation of Africa. Africa is a nation. And your accomplishments made you great. That's what we came from. That's what made us great. All of our accomplishments. So if we are to be great again, we must get back to what made us great in the first place. That leads us straight to African culture, spirituality, principles, values. All of those things that seem like they're blown up in smoke now. Because what we look at with the conditions of our people currently, it's like we don't have values and principles. We don't even follow code anymore.
That's right.
It's simple codes that right now are in question. I mean, I really hear men say now, well, why can't we be emotional and this and that and this and that? You know, women can. And then I hear women say, well, why can't we be hard and tough and rough? Men are. It's not about whether or not we can do those things or play those roles when it's necessary. But we all know our roles, and we're not supposed to be standing in anybody else's role. We need to be responsible for our own. That's why rites of passage is so important. It teaches us our roles, who we are, what we should maintain, who we should be. We should never lose sight of that. We should never lose sight of that.
That's right.
It leads us straight back to the culture, like I said, the principles, the values. We got to stop trying to be white folks.
That's right.
Stop marrying them too. We need to be black folks, African folks, and be proud of that. There is nothing wrong with being black. There's nothing wrong with being African. All right. The next thing we must do, when it comes to, we must look at our strengths. And we also need to look at our weaknesses. No doubt our strengths are looking up and out for each other. Looking up to and out for each other. We do that. I don't think it happens enough, but we do it. We look up to our parents. We look up to our elders. We look up to people, freedom fighters. We look up to each other. We look out for each other. And our weaknesses are, we can go on and on for that too. We know what our weaknesses are. We always give all of our culture, our food, our resources away. That's why Africa is the way it is. I'm not saying that it's terrible for us to be a giving people, but we have to see that certain people that come in there with their hand out, they might not have our best interests in mind. And this will repeat itself if we continue to believe that we always have to be giving people. We always have to be sacrificial people. Some things need to be kept sacred. Some things need to be held on to. And we shouldn't be ashamed of that, because every other culture has its limits. There's certain things you should not know. I don't know if you all know about Brother Bruce Lee, but his people came down hard on him just for teaching them martial arts. And if we think about it, our people taught the Asians.
That's right.
And they was like, okay, they taught us this, let's keep this to ourselves. So we taught them, and they kept it to themselves. And now we so lost to what we had, we think they originated the martial arts.
Right.
And that's what your enemy will do to you if you continue to give away everything you have. They're going to take it, claim it, and they're not going to let you get any part of it. Clearly our weaknesses have been that we always are willing to share with everyone and everything. We must remember the old proverb that everything that looks good ain't good.
That's right.
Next, we must be clear who has been our friend and who has been our enemy and will continue to be our enemy. We must keep giving. We need to stop giving the benefit of the doubt to those who have never meant us any good. And we must pay attention to the worst of the people who have been our allies and comrades. Who are those people, y'all, right here on this land?
The natives.
The native folks.
The indigenous.
All right? The indigenous folks to this land. They told us about this proverb. Everybody knows what it is. Well, if you want to shout it out, go ahead. What proverb did they give us about the white man?
White man speak with forked tongue.
With forked tongue.
That's right.
They learned the hard way. I challenge you to go out and look for your native indigenous person right now.
I know that's right.
And see how many you come up with.
Amen.
They know. Next, how do we get where you and I need to go? How do we get there? How do we accomplish all of these things? First, we must be clear that this condition of dependence that we have, self-hate, self-pity, it comes on from white supremacy. Because that's white supremacy, it seeks world domination. It's not just here in the United States, it's all over the world. And rendering us, our people, nationless, homeless, and without clear identity is a part of that plan. And when we go to get back to a condition of having unity among our people and control of the African homeland as a base of support, even if we choose not to live there, just supporting our people and establishing a government dedicated to making sure that no one gets a piece of the African pie until all Africans have a piece of the pie. Then we will begin solving our conditions. Our best option for getting there is to organize, or we'll perish.
That's right.
That's our only choice. We must organize the young, the old, the rich, the poor, the smart, the dumb, the skilled, the unskilled, and everything else in our community. We must work to make sure that African people all over the world understand that we are one people, and our collective destiny is the same. We must fight tooth and nail to ensure that Africa belongs to the Africans. Those at home and abroad. We must have Pan-Africanism. Here are some organizations right here that you can be a part of. One of them is not on there, but the Conscious Mind Study Group is another one that should be on there. We gotta get our mind right too, folks. Before we just go out there misinforming our people, we gotta get our mind right. And when we start to organize, we can't just come off of emotion. We have to prove this stuff to our people. They're not just going to take our word for it. They go to school every day and they're taught to hate themselves. So we need to unteach them that hate. The Cincinnati Pan-African Coalition, Ghana RBG, the East African RBG, and the New African Connections. These are Pan-African based organizations. So if you feel like you can't do this alone, join us. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir.
You got to understand who you are, where you come from, what your responsibilities are. We always tell the kids, you can never be all that you can be till you first know what you already have done. We got to make sure that our history becomes important to us. People tell us, that's not important. All you got to do is learn that 2 + 2 is 4, and you'll make it. No, you can't make it. 2 + When we go to these schools in America, what they actually teach us to do is to stay slaves. Because they don't teach us who we are. They don't teach us what our real responsibilities are. They teach us to have a skill that we can sell to white folks for the lowest amount of money they would give us. Slavery is what they're teaching us to be. Now, I'm not saying don't go to these schools and excel. I tell our children, excel. We got a thing in Rites of Passage where we tell them, we are struggling for perfection. We know ain't nothing perfect but the Creator. But if we struggle for perfection, we're going to end up with excellence. That's what we got to make sure that happens to us. But we, inside of these schools, I tell the children, my children, my grandchildren come home, with A's on report cards, and I'm saying, and they be, oh, I got A's, I got A's. I'm saying, you're supposed to get them. Ain't no big deal. The stuff that these white folks are giving you in these school systems, especially if you got decent teachers, the stuff that they're giving you in these school systems, you have the genius inside of you to make you excel in those things. Do it. Do it. History is important. We better study our history, because, as Garvey said, those who don't understand their history and their culture are like a tree without roots. We know a tree without roots getting ready to die.
That's right.
And that's what will happen to us if we don't know who we are and where we come from. I want to, first of all, let me thank all of y'all for coming out here today. Bobby Terry really deserves it.
That's right.
And I just thank y'all so much for coming and being a part of this. I really want to thank Bobby Terry's family for coming out and being a part of this whole thing, because that made it real for me. I really feel just to see y'all, especially Terry Jr. Man, you look just like your dad. Damn. But I really appreciate, you know, y'all being here. I want to say that we did give people a chance to come up and be a part of the program. If there's anybody, and I know we want to eat some food, but if there's anybody who would like to say anything about Bobby Terry that didn't get a chance to, if you just raise your hand, I'll give you a couple of minutes to come up and say whatever you need to say. But it's really important that we make sure that everybody who wants to have input gets some input. All right. I want to emphasize again that we got to study. Y'all, many of the people who came up here and spoke today talked about what Terry did was he studied. And that's how come we always tell our teachers inside of Rites of Passage, the more you know, the more you can teach. You can't teach anything if you don't know anything. And the way you get that information is that you got to study. Now, studying today don't mean just cracking open a book, although I still think cracking open a book is the best way to get that information. But you got all kinds of ways of getting information now. The ones who have problems studying, you know, you can find other ways to get information. I mean, ones who have problems reading, you got other ways to get information. But you got to get the information.
That's right.
You cannot walk around there ignorant to the stuff that's going on around you and think you're going to survive or even move forward. You can't do it. So we got to push that you got to study. You got to make sure that you get to the point where you become a knowledgeable person. I want to make sure that everybody here looks at what is happening inside of their households. If you are not studying inside of your household, if you're not developing like some kind of library, whether it's a video library, book library, some kind of library that your children can look at and get information about themselves, then you are doing a disservice to your family.
That's right.
If you just allow them to watch those TV videos, allow them to play video games, you are doing a disservice to your family. Now, we can't stop them from doing that stuff. Our children are going to do that. They got all of these gadgets that they play with all of the time. But when they come inside of that house, you have control of that. Make sure that you are giving something that's going to be beneficial to them. And then the knowledge and the information that they get will offshoot some of that negative stuff that they get bombarded with on a regular basis. So we got to make sure that we take care of our households. The African proverb is that the ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people.
That's right.
So that we can begin to build strong households, we got the possibility of building a strong community. And if we can build a strong community, we can build a strong nation. But it starts with the house. Your house is out of order, it means that those in charge of the house are out of order, and then your community is going to be out of order. You don't have a chance of building a nation.
That's right.
So let us get our houses in order. I want to, again in closing, I want to just thank Sister Vanita, Bobby Terry's wife, and just say to folks, if y'all know Vanita, get in touch with Vanita. It's real hard. Y'all know Terry. Y'all know what kind of brother he was. And he was in her life every day of her life. And now he's gone. Y'all gotta know how hard it is for her to have to continue to go on without that brother there. Give her some support. Come through, holler at her, get her telephone number, call her up, say, how you doing, baby, what's going on? Can you come get her and take her out somewhere? But make sure you stay in touch with sister, because this is the time when she really needs us, her community, and those who knew and loved her husband. So get in touch with her and make sure that you put some kind of comfort into her life, because when she lost Bobby Terry, she lost a whole lot, y'all. I mean, she lost a whole lot. So stand with her. All right, I want to again thank everybody for coming out, and I'm going to shut my mouth and let y'all go ahead and get some of this. Hey, look, eat that stuff up, please. It was really hard to bring it in here, and I sure don't want to have to take it back out of here. So y'all eat that stuff up.
Bob,
all right, yes.
We taking donations.
Two things. We got Bobby Terry's artwork up here. Make sure you look at the stuff. We don't have. If you go to Sister Benita's house and see all of the stuff that's all around the house, some stuff sitting in the corners, almost stuff on the wall, you will know that we just got a snippet of what Bobby Terry was capable of doing here. But check it out and see that genius that was coming out of him. And I'm guaranteeing you, it'll make you feel good. Anybody who would like to, one of the things, the problems that we always have is when we try to do the kinds of things that we're doing in the community, talking about reestablishing the African nation, ain't nobody getting ready to support us in doing that. We got to support ourselves. So I always say to folks, and I don't, go around, my group knows that I'm not the one to ask people for some donations. But if y'all want to give anything to the struggle that we're engaged in, y'all can put a couple of dollars on this table right here, and we'll make sure that we use it inside of that struggle for rites of passage. We use it inside of that struggle for building the kinds of teachers that we're trying to develop here. And we just had a graduated, well, we didn't graduate them yet. We're going to graduate them next Saturday. But we just had a class of teachers come through our teacher training. So when the weather breaks, we're going to have a number of teachers ready to come out and teach the community's children in the rites of passage tradition. And it always requires dollars, and we don't have dollars, but we done figured out how to work on half a shoestring. But if y'all can help us get a whole shoestring, that would really be a big plus to us. So if y'all want to make a donation, put it on the table up here. We really would appreciate that. But let's everybody just have some food, have some fun, and keep the memory and the spirit of Bobby Terry alive. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it.